A court of fairies and fiction. Akafath Girls Podcast. Hosts Mel and Liv. Episode 9, World Walking and Book Talking. Okay, hello.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello again.
I have no notes for once. Well, I have notes on my phone, but I don't have typed out notes for once. So we'll see how awkward this gets with my train of thought.
I'm going to be doing type notes when the kids are more established, but I love them. But okay, let's do it. Let's do no notes today. I like it.
Oh God, I was like, oh crap, I don't have like any typed notes left. Like, shit. But anyway, I think you might know this, but one of my favorite TV series is the original Charmed from 1998. I think I've told you this before. Yeah.
It's a good show. I used to watch that every school too. So
yeah. So it's like on in the background in my house all the time. And so there was an episode on, I forget what channel it was the other day, because it wasn't the normal channel, but there was an episode on one of the channels the other day. And it's an episode I've seen 5 billion cajillion times. I've seen all of them 5 million times, honestly. But I was like, oh, it's this episode right after Prue dies and all this stuff. And I was watching it, and something clicked in my head about Crescent City when I was watching it. So it's the episode after Prue dies, and Piper is so mad that she turns into a Fury. I don't know if you remember that or whatever. But anyway, she turns into like a Fury. And I was watching it and I go, Fury? 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 Sarah J. Maas! And Furies are like assassins of hell. Fury Akstar.
Really?
Yeah.
You shut up. Are you serious right now?
I'm dead serious. And I go, it's literally staring us in the face. It's her fucking name. It's her fucking name.
So Furies are assassins for hell.
Yeah, there's supposed to be 3 of them. They go in threes. And they're supposed to be like 3 assassins each group or whatever. But yeah,
Okay.
they're like female assassins from hell.
What? I will freak out. Wait, so if they are in groups of 3, then is Amren like, because she's in the night court, right? So she's technically an assassin. Hell, if that's hell.
Yeah, I mean, so I know a lot of people are like, oh, Amren and Fury must be connected, but honestly, I mean, so. Amren kind of fashioned her body after people, so it's not like really her. Yeah. I mean, Fury could have, but I'm actually thinking that Fury is 100% Thanatos' daughter.
Why do you think that? Tell me.
Because in ACOWAR, when Kira's like, Thanatos is having trouble with his daughter again, I have to go assist him. And if we think about the timeline, if Akasif is Crescent City 2, ACOWAR is Crescent City 1, and Bryce didn't see Fury for like 2 years because of the death of Danica and the Pack of Devils. She had no idea what she was doing. And then when Fury comes back and they have like their whole apology thing, and she's like, oh, I just kind of like threw myself into my work or whatever. And Bryce is always like, I still don't know what the hell she does, like who the fuck she works for, I'm like, she was fucking visiting Daddy in Hewn City.
You think so?
I think so.
I like it. I like that theory. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I could see that though.
Well, well, because what would Thanatos get in an argument with his daughter about? Her friend group, right? And who is Thanatos currently very angry at, but Bryce Quinlan. I will eat your light when you get here, Bryce.
Is that yeah, he said he was gonna eat her because she killed the shepherd.
Yeah. So he's probably like, why the fuck are you friends with these fucking fae? Like these normal people.
I like the idea of it.
I'm like, it just kind of
I'm
like
in.
adds up. I don't remember if she mentioned what
I like it.
Thanatos looked like. I thought she said he had dark hair. Oh yeah, he has black curly hair.
Curly hair, and it was cut like short. It
Short.
was cut really short.
So,
and they said
Fury
that he was
also has
very
black hair.
he was very,
Mm-hmm. So that's
I
pretty
like
much
it.
that's pretty much all we got.
It's
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I just I don't know. I don't know if I
Like we
like
know
it.
she's an
It's
assassin.
possible. We do.
And why else would she be going to like the crystal palaces of the Asteri if she wasn't like a spy for the princes of hell? Like pretending to
The
work for
Princess
the
of Hell.
Asteri.
I like it, but why would he be punishing her? You know what I mean? Like, and you would think he would want her there to be gathering intel, right? Like he would want her there actively.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
she
not
is.
away for 2 years away from Quinlan.
I mean, it doesn't. That doesn't necessarily mean she was in Prithian for 2 years, but she could have visited and then gone back. Like she could be reporting back to him.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea.
And if she
I'm
was
trying
a
to think.
princess of hell, she would be able to access the same cracks and the rifts that they do.
This is true. I'm just, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm intrigued with it. I like it, but I'm not into. Try and convince me more. Like, what else? Like, do you have any other thoughts or any other?
We don't know anything really about Fury, and we don't know anything really about Thanatos. Like he's only mentioned once in ACOTAR, and then we see him in Crescent
True.
City too. But the one line from Echo, like the one line in ACOTAR is about his daughter. I mean,
No.
we have to know
I
his
know. I'm
daughter.
like, I think we know his daughter. I've been trying to figure out who it is. And I've been unsuccessful.
Who the fuck else has black hair?
Well,
Except for
I know
Ember, but that's a whole different story.
well,
Nobody.
nobody has black hair. Like, if you were to tell me that Fury was the mercenary from Book One ACOTAR, I would completely agree with you, and I would say, yeah, I think that was her.
It could still be her.
It could still be her. It could. I always thought that she was spying for the rebels of Crescent City, or like killing for the Asteri for 2 years, but I'm not quite sure now. Like it's very hard to pinpoint Fury's actions, but I think she's like,
Oh, you're breaking up very badly. Hold on.
I don't know. I thought it was more. What?
You're breaking up a
Is your
lot.
internet going out too?
Yeah, a little.
I know.
That's weird.
It's the same. I don't know why it's doing it because it's breaking. Like you're pausing and then I pause.
Yeah, that's weird. Anyway,
now it's
okay.
Let me look. Let me see if my settings are okay.
Mine
It
says it's
says that
okay.
I'm on.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
Hold, that's weird. Should
Yeah.
I turn off the, hold on. That's really weird. Is it working now?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. Anyway,
Let me know if it breaks up again.
yeah, so actually, when I looked up Fury the other day for my art thingy that I did on Instagram,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it says she has dark hair and chestnut eyes, and I'm pretty sure I don't know if it says it here. Um, oh yeah, it does. It does say here, and I think she is the mercenary. So it says onyx hair, long but now in a short bob. She has angular chestnut colored eyes and light brown skin. She almost always wears head to toe black. So the mercenary also had light brown skin and black hair.
I swear she's the
And not only
mercenary.
that, but the chestnut eyes. Farrah's like her eyes were dark, but they had all different shades of brown in them.
Yeah.
But I don't
You
think she's
know what
working for
I
the
also thought
Asteri.
too for a while?
I think she's spying
Why not?
because
You do?
Say Thanatos is her father, or she was the mercenary. Why would she care about like dead Fae or any of that stuff if she was working for the Asteri? Because the Asteri want to demolish the worlds or take over the worlds. You know, I think she's reporting back to the
Yeah, I
princes about the Asteri, pretending to be on their side, kind of like how Tamlin did with Hybern,
uh
infiltrating.
interesting. I can see I can see it. I
Yeah,
like it.
I don't know. I was just like,
But well, I know I'm curious. I think that we should figure out fear, like what does she even do with all of her time? You know, I always thought her and Lydia like were working together.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Wouldn't Lydia have told them that though? Like, because she
Oh,
name
Lydia's
dropped, who did she name drop? She name dropped someone at the end of the book, and she was like, oh, and this person, but like, Fury wasn't mentioned.
yeah, interesting. I'm so intrigued by that.
And like
God, I want to.
Bryce has Bryce tells her stuff. And it's like, Bryce,
Bryce is too trusting. She's
you
way.
and also I think Juniper knows by now because she's gotten really sus.
Juniper's a bad friend, and she's super. I agree.
Honestly, I think she probably had to choose like my girlfriend or my friend, and she chose Fury. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, I have notes based on my re-listen to our episode 7. Like a lot of
Wait,
notes.
do you want me to bring this up though? I just
Yeah.
so I find this really interesting too. Dread curled in Hunt's gut as the Autumn King murmured, Micah, the archangel must have done it before he left quietly unseen, anticipating keeping them at bay while he experimented with the horn's power. With Bryce, I have a helicopter, Fury said, and I keep it off site. Why does she have a helicopter? Do you need a
To sail
helicopter?
through the roof.
That's crazy. Like I
She's
can't
a
figure out.
pilot.
But you want
She's what?
I think you're right. I just the Fury assassin from Health. I mean, like even with Fury's helicopter, he would be too late. They said.
Really watching it, and I sat up and I go, oh. I was like, stupid. Her fucking name is Fury.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
light
thought
bulb moment.
she has a
The dog
helicopter.
faced women from hell.
Interesting. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something today at the store I want to tell you about too, but I want to hear your other theories first.
Yeah, there's a lot. Well, not a lot, but yeah. Anyway, I don't really know where this train of thought is going, but I jotted it down as a note anyway.
Okay.
I think I sent it to you. It was one of the ones I sent to you. But how Bryce says that the Ori space map thing, she asks the astronomer, like, is it tech or magic? And he said, can it not be both? Right? And then I was thinking, I was like, is that the only like tech and magic we've seen? But it's not, because we've seen it in Prithian, Lucian's eye, made by Nuon, who
Yes.
actually is an alchemist.
Okay. Yeah,
Which is
she
kind of
is.
so. I went to the High Lords meeting, and he's like, "Oh, my tinkerers and alchemists are no fools." But I'm like, so she's both in one. And I'm like, how does the Dawn Court have tech? Like, how does she create tech in a techless world? And it made me wonder. And then it's
I like,
just weirder because Amryn like fashioned her body after like Nuon and the Zion people too. So I'm like,
yep.
hmm. Again, I don't really know where the thought's going, but the fact that Nuon is the only one who can, at this point, the only one that we know that can create tech infused with magic, and she
Hmm.
gave her her supposed best friend that eye that can see through any ward and glamour.
Oh, I kind of like it. Well, I think that, you know, again, it's going to go to Mr. Lucian, right? So here's what
Mr.
I was thinking about though.
Lucian.
Back to the Dawn Court, because we know virtually nothing about them, right?
We know
Except that
two,
they
well,
look like new.
we know like three things. So we know that shines the brightest out of all the High Lords. We know that
Okay.
again, Nuon is the only one who can do tech with magic or whatever and can do all these weird potions with alchemy. And we know that the Peregrines from the Dawn Court, or the angels from the Dawn Court, were creations of the Asteri. Did you get to that part? Did you finish
Yep.
the book yet? You did?
I didn't. I have to finish, but I already knew that because the Asteri said that they made basically. I think it was like, was it all the winged? I think it was
So,
all the winged,
yeah. So they
right?
attempted to make angels. Illyrians were the prototype, aka the fuck ups.
Yeah.
And then they were successful in making angels with white wings. And like I said, I think the ones with darker wings are crossbreeds, but you know. So the Seraphim, which are Dracon's people, are with like half fae, which is kind of weird too. But the Peregrines are also white-winged angels, and they hail from the Dawn Court as well. Thesen's lover is one of them.
Yep.
So they're kind of suspicious all over the place.
I was gonna say maybe the betrayal Sarah's talking about is like a court against court or something like that. Like maybe we'll see the Asteri come back and they're gonna go to the Dawn Court, right?
Oh,
Possibility.
I like that, but I also hate that because like they're the neutral court. Like they're supposed to be the healers and the sweetie pies of like all the courts. Like, I don't know.
Uh,
Like, don't
I
do
don't
my
know.
girl Nuon wrong. Come on. Come on. Although, if she's kind of shifty, that would just be more points with her toward Eris. So I don't care. But
Hope they end up together. I would love that. Her and Eris would be such a good
why did she
couple.
put that line in there just to tease me?
No, I think it's totally a clue. The most decent he's ever been. I hope he should. He needs to move on for more.
I know.
You know, he
He needs,
forget about,
yeah.
you
At the
know.
very least, he needs a therapist, and she would be good.
I
But
agree.
back to Lucian's eye. I
Okay.
think Nuon kind of knows. Basically, we all know that Lucian kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. And so, in that way, he can be kind of naive with people he cares about. Like we
Okay.
saw, like we saw with Feyre, how he's like, I know you wanted revenge, but I didn't know exactly what you were gonna do. Okay, but you hid her mating tattoo from Tamlin. Like he's kind of naive in that way. So what if Nuon did that to his eye in preparation of like shit, like if the Asteri and the princes are gonna start a war, like he'll be able to see who's under the skin or whatever.
I can see that. I kind of like that. I like it.
Like, I
Hmm.
don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. See, I never even really thought about it. I always thought that was just magic and he was lying to everybody.
That's what I
But
thought too. But maybe that's what Sarah wanted us to believe. I don't
I,
know.
I don't know
But
either. But I like it. I mean, Nuon's very intriguing to me because she's like the only woman who is kind of like self-made, right?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Like we don't really
Mm-hmm.
have a history of like her and Thiessen. Like I would assume they were probably childhood friends with like how he talks about her, but who really
He
knows?
has a lot of faith in her. He has a lot of faith in her,
No.
which I find interesting.
I know. That yeah, he does. I'm gonna be mad if she ruins my girl. I'm gonna be so mad.
I I know. I think we should all be very nervous for what's going to happen. You know what? I have a thought. I have not read the Tog series in entirety yet, and I'm just circling back to when Thanatos said that he had a daughter that was acting up. What if his daughter was Maeve because she like kind of took over the Prithian world and there were issues there? I mean, I haven't read Tog, but she has dark hair. He's handsome. He has dark hair. Just some
Could
thoughts.
be.
Just gonna throw it out there. Possible.
Could be. See the whole
Could be. And I think what?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I said, didn't someone say, is it Kingdom of Ash? Doesn't Kingdom of Ash's timeline kind of line up with ACOWAR, if I remember correctly? I'll have to go and look. I'll look at this
I
tonight because then we can bring that up later.
well
Maybe
I
not.
think the Tog world is just destroyed because the Asteri mentions how they like lured them to Midgard and everything. How like they
Yeah.
conquered they conquered all these worlds. So it's pretty much conquered by the Asteri and they lured
It,
them to Midgard.
it
Yeah.
said the Tog world was conquered.
So it named a bunch of worlds. We don't really know what the name of the Tog world is. We don't know what the name of the Prithian world is, like the planets or anything. But there was a bunch of them that were conquered or whatever.
Okay.
But Rigelis says that there's specifically two types of Fae. And the first type of Fae hailed from a singular planet, and every single Fae had an animal form on that planet, which is the Tog world, right?
Yeah.
Don't they all
Yeah.
have an animal form? And so
They
they
do.
lured them to Midgard. And then the other type of Fae was like High Fae, like the Prithian High Fae. And he said only a very, I think I told you, only a very select few of them could turn into their animal forms, like Tamlin. So,
Interesting. So that makes me just think that Lydia is like definitely connected to Rowan and Aelin in my mind. because she's a shifter. She has to be. She's got to be their daughter because in the books it says that their firstborn was a girl.
Yeah. Oh, it does. But isn't but her and Hypaxia share a mother, no?
They do.
And Hypaxia, well,
Hmm.
actually, well, no, because Hypaxia says that Lydia, her powers swayed toward her father's side. And that's why the mother had to give her up to the father. That was their agreement. So
Oh,
maybe,
you know what? You're right.
so
Someone was
maybe,
saying
so maybe they're the grandparents. They could be.
grandparents, or isn't there Stag of the North that you were talking about?
It's in every series.
Remember
It's
that?
so
Yeah.
weird. There's like
Maybe she's
stag,
related to.
stag, stag. Maybe. It's so weird though, because there's
Hmm.
a lot of characters that have firepower. There just is.
Let's
Like
try.
there's
So who else has firepower? I know we talked
so like Aelin,
Cormac.
obviously, but we don't really know anyone else in the Tog world yet. So like Aelin, uh Aenar, Lady Autumn, the whole Autumn Court in Prythian. Bryce does, but doesn't. There's a lot of mentions of her, like her eyes flickering like flame or whatever, but I don't think she actually has the power yet. Or she hasn't used it yet anyway, if she does have it.
And
But
well, her mom's name is Ember, so I mean that kind
right?
of plays
Ember.
right. Like I can see that.
So me and one of the girls on Instagram, Elise, and yeah, I think it was just me and Elise, but when we write fan fiction based on Lucian, like figuring out that Helian's his father or whatever, his firepower isn't just regular firepower, it's sunfire because he's part of the day court too.
Yes,
So,
love that.
and that kind of makes sense to me because obviously as we said, the sun is the biggest star and Bryce's light is basically like kind of like raw sunshine, right? And then Ember looks exactly like Helion.
Yes,
I'm still convinced she's related to Helion. How could she not be related to Helion? They have the exact same description. The exact same description. Exactly.
it would be interesting because really, there's evidence for that because Helion said, remember his reaction to the mask was so violent and like so that it was a warning to him. What if like the rest of Helion's line actually is in
Midgard.
Midgard? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally.
And like I also find it funny that like we got Thiesen's parents' history, we got Rhys's, we got Tamlin's, we know kind of a little about the Autumn Court with Lady A, but like we know nothing about Helion. Nothing.
Nope.
Except for that joke that Cassian made where he was like, "Oh, I was fucking your mom," or like whatever the hell he said. And then Helion was like,
He liked it. He was like, I forget how much I like
right?
you.
But like is Ember a sister, a cousin? Like we know nothing. I find it weird.
And Ember has suspicion.
The what?
Yeah, I do too. And Ember and Bryce both have this fascination with the Pegasus too, right?
Exactly. It's so I'm like she has to be from the day court. It's like
She has to be like, and
we know
oh yeah,
nothing about his family. It's weird.
I feel like the people that have these like blank histories or don't have a name or something, they're obviously like key players and like the history, or there's like a twist with them. There has to be, right?
Yeah.
Why else?
I pre-ordered the one with Ember and Randall's chapter from Books a Million. Books a Million? Yeah.
I do too.
You did.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know for a fucking fact there has to be some sort of secret in this bonus chapter. I will go over it a million times and just like pick out little tiny sentences.
He said this. No, yeah. Oh yeah.
Can
I
you
mean, like,
imagine? Can you imagine if it's like a perfectly normal Randall and Ember scene, and they're just chatting it up with new visitor friends, whatever, settling in Emil or Cooper, whatever his name is now.
whatever.
And Ember's like, oh, like, let's go out for lunch or something. Let me just change. And then like she goes like in her closet, and then she's just like, there's just a moment where it like verbally pans up and it's like her crown in a case.
Melanie.
Like her sun crown.
God, Melanie.
I feel like that would be really cool. And then she just kind of like covers it again after like looking at it for a little bit, like out of nostalgia.
I love it. Holy shit. I am obsessed. And now if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be so disappointed. Because now that's all I'm gonna think about all night is that.
That's all I've been thinking about since I heard that they had a chapter. Like the lost princess of the day court. Yeah. I'm like, she needs a spiky sun crown.
I'm upset. Like, I'm obsessed. It has to be.
Yeah. And like, especially if she is like we said, like half fae, and she just like was born, but she was mortal instead of the fae side.
I would freak out.
Can you like half sister of Helion?
Do you know what's so funny? Is I read Crescent City 1 like a while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went on Facebook to the Sarah J. Maas group, and I was like, the one reaction like I want to see probably the most to Bryce coming to Prythian is Helion's reaction.
Yeah.
And that was like, and this was like years ago, right? And for some reason, because I was like, there has to be, like, I just felt a tug between Helion and Bryce, because obviously of the Pegasus and stuff, but also like Bryce is a bombshell and Helion is like such a horn dog.
I know, but like,
oh,
bro, that's your niece. Shush.
I know. Or he's gonna see Bryce and be like, holy shit.
Like, my sister had
and like,
freckles and eyes like that.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if we don't see her fucking crown, I'm gonna be so sad.
You literally have my expectations now.
That's
not in the bonus
I
chapter.
saw it and I literally just created the whole chapter in my fucking head.
So now you have to write that in your fanfic, because like I expect that, and if I don't get it, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Oh my God, I was actually thinking of just starting like a fanfic where each chapter was just like a random like bonus chapter of Crescent City that I had thought of.
Do it.
Like just random scenes that I've thought of.
I'm freaking the fuck out. If you don't write this Crescent City fanfic, I'm gonna lose my mind. Do it. Can you please do a Connor bonus chapter? Do an Ethan bonus chapter? Like, please.
Hey, you, if Connor never died, like, or whatever.
Connor. Well, so it's funny because I thought that we had discussed what she said the other day in the interview, where she's like, Connor, like she was hesitant, like, Connor's dead. But then it sounds like you changed your mind. and you feel like he's legit dead.
Yeah, I feel like he's dead just because after that whole monologue with like Ethan and how they're like, well, where's his soul? Is he fine? Is he this? Is he that? But there is the part at the astronomers where they're asking Thanatos. Thanatos?
Yeah, it was. Hmm?
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, he is dot dot dot, and then he like turns his attention to Bryce, and then the conversation gets so like off kilter or whatever. It was kind of weird.
It was weird, and then there was an order from like the top to leave him alone.
Exactly.
And
Weird.
we never find out who that is.
Well, who would be the top of the princes? Reese. Reese is Thanatos' boss, technically.
Yeah,
I listened to the ACOWAR graphic audio last night. I've sent you so many of the little clips, but it was
I'm so excited.
it was that scene in Hewn City um where Kier is like, we always wondered where you went when you weren't up there. Ah, Valaris. That's what it's called. Valaris. Oops.
Secrets out. So, listening to that scene again, did you get any ideas?
Not really. It just made me feel sad for Eris all over again.
Eris has the short end of the stick because, like, if Moore is really his mate, that sucks.
Yeah. I put the two Eris clips as reels if you want to listen to them later.
Oh, of course I do.
The
I'll always love.
the tone when he was like, well, after you fuck that Illyrian bastard, and then they all snarl at him. And then he's like, I know why you did it. And then actually the 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 way that it's worded when he confronts her, it says, which I didn't really remember, which I've read it a million times, but I didn't really remember it. Hold on. But it says, Eris looked between them, her and Asriel, smiling faintly, secretly, as if he knew something that Asriel didn't. Which he does. He knows that she's gay. And then they go through it, blah, blah, blah. Says, I know why you did it. Again, that secret smile that had more shrinking. Shrinking. So I gave you your freedom, ending the betrothal in no uncertain terms.
He said that to Moore, to her face.
Yeah. And then, what happened next? Asriel growled. A shadow crossed Eris's face. There are a few things I regret. That is one of them. But perhaps one day, now that we are allies, I shall tell you why and what it cost me. And then Moore goes, I don't give a shit. Get out.
She's awful. I'm sorry. I just cannot get behind her character.
I can't. Just, yeah. I don't know.
No.
Let's see what else.
No, ma'am. Not me. I want to hear of the theories I have. Tell me what else you got. Because I gotta tell you one too.
It was mostly the Fury one, but I have.
I like.
Oh,
I like it.
so your internet connection is unstable. Great, I know. Actually,
It's okay.
I'm just gonna pause for a second. All right, so let's do a smaller one, actually. We'll do the bigger one when we have more time because it gets very complicated with like bloodlines and stuff. So I talked about Crescent City 2 being around the same time as A Court of Silver Flames. And at the end of toward the end of Crescent City, do you remember when Ethan, or I don't know if you got there yet, but you know about it, when Ethan goes to the astronomers to try to save his mate, the Mystic.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's so weird, like he's not around, like it seems like this place has been empty for like a couple weeks or whatever. And it kind of goes toward my theory that he's Koshi because can you hear
I
me?
love this theory.
Yeah. So he's nowhere to be found toward the end of Crescent City 2. And toward the end of Akasif, we have Koshi talking to Breelin and Azriel and Cassian. And he's there and not there. And not only that, but we have his famous line to Azriel where he's like, I've been preparing for you for months and you don't even want to talk to me.
So which is so weird. It's so weird.
I,
What does Koshi want with Az?
what did he find out from his mystics that has to do with Azriel? Is what I want to know.
I want to know too. I want to know, did he find out maybe that Azriel's a prince of hell?
That's part of the other thing because remember how I said my theory was that Reese and Az are actually like first cousins? Because like I think
I do remember your theory.
yeah. So if Reese is a prince of hell, and we know or we can assume that they have children going by maybe Fury and maybe Jessica, whatever, right? That would mean that the
Oh yeah.
like their titles or whatever would be passed down to their kids, which means Reese doesn't necessarily have to be lying about his childhood. He could have just been passed down the title when
I,
Tamlin killed his father.
I agree. I totally agree.
So, but it's funny because, like, I wonder if they just keep the same names. Like, they keep Apollyon, they keep Thanatos, they keep whatever.
Maybe it's like a title and not like an actual name.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like Apollyon, Prince of the Pit, Thanatos, Prince of the Ravine. Like, I wonder if they just inherit whatever powers their original, whatever their fathers had or whatever, whenever they die, if they die. So Reese could be Apollyon, Prince of the Pit, and not the Apollyon they were talking about, which could have been his father, who we know fought against the Asteri and the slavery of humans.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I love this. I love this theory.
Which
Because
means if Azriel is his blood cousin, the Lord, his father, could have been a prince of hell. Or since we know that they can have daughters, it wouldn't be passed to the mother, so it would be passed to him from his grandfather.
totally.
And that's
Totally.
why his father chose his mother. And that's why him and the brothers were so sus about his shadow singing powers. Because they're a power from hell. And that's why everyone in Valaris is terrified of him.
Yeah.
And why he has a
Well,
dungeon in Hue City. And
as is the Prince of Hell.
there are 4 unnamed princes of hell.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
It was either 4 or 3 because we know Thanatos,
Thanatos,
Apollyon.
Adis, and Apollyon. So
Oh
there's
yeah,
4 more.
there's 4.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4.
Um, and I wanted to look this up really quick because I didn't. Um,
I love that. I actually love that idea. Huh.
Azrael in the Book of Enoch is a fallen angel.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. I love it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, Azrael is also in Arabic it translates to angel of death,
Yeah, he's totally an angel.
which we know the Illyrians are the screw up angels, hence demons. Bryce is like, the demon smiled. The demon did this. I was like, stop it. You're hurting my heart.
Demons, don't say that, Bryce. That's
I love him. Okay, but like I get how I don't know. Like Az is such a mushball on the inside, but like when
oh
he
yeah.
does his job, I'm like he's so
It it makes you
unflinching.
yeah.
He's kind of scary.
Mm. He's very scary. And he tortures and like enjoys it.
Well, that's kind of a Robin Hood thing. He tortures the bad people who deserve to be tortured, aka Prince of
That's
Hell.
true. True.
Literally like Lucifer,
And I
but
think
you know.
it's gonna be scary because Hunt, his whole thing was to like sniff out the demons, like
Yeah.
identify the demons. So we're gonna
Don't hurt
have
Az.
against Hunt. Yeah, Hunt has some problems coming his way.
Oh yeah, he does. I mean, yeah, they're like trapped there. I'm curious to see how, not even just how she gets back, but I'm curious to see if Sarah built up this whole thing with them being trapped with the Asteri and then like somehow they just escape or like Lydia helps them escape and then they find their way to Prithian and it's like mostly in Prithian because she said in her interview that when like the first draft that she wrote, remember how she said she like scrapped it? The first draft went back and forth from Midgard to Prithian. And then she didn't like say what the final draft did. So is it
Oh, she
mostly in Prithian? Is it mostly in Midgard? Like, how are you going to do that with all the characters? Because Bryce is in Prithian, but the other two are in Midgard. I don't get it. And I still think Cassian's gonna.
I'm not. I can't even talk about that right now because I'm too emotional. And I'm pissed that there seems to be traction that's gaining supporting the evidence of Cassian dying.
I was like, finally, people don't think I'm fucking crazy. There's so much
No, I know you're
foreshadowing that
behind it. No, what's happening?
there's
What's
so
happening is you are influencing what?
Oh, I'm an influencer now.
You're an influencer. I'm convinced you're influencing because like suddenly everyone's like, yeah, it's Cassie. I'm like, I know this fucking
Mind
sounds
powers. I'm a
Melanie, and I'm just
Daemati. No, but I told you I listened to the graphic audio last night, and so I listened to Farah and Cassian going to talk to the bone carver. It was
and what?
so sus. It was so foreshadowy. Like calls to like. Death herself calls to a death marked. Duh. The way he set the bone
No.
down, didn't carve it at all when talking to him about Nesta, Nesta, Nesta. Like, those are definitely death bonds. How she
Yeah.
calls to you. And then just him, just that one line of him saying that if I died protecting people who need it, it would be like a death worth something. Like he says
Stop
that.
it. You know what? Can't he's just being noble. he's being noble, and she's just fleshing out the goodness of his heart, so we know that he's a really sweet male.
Do you know who he says that to? Do you remember?
Nesta?
No.
No.
Says that to Dracon. An angel. He says that to Dracon in ACOWAR. To Dracon.
So let me ask you this. Because I think after this we gotta cut it. We gotta end it because are you predicting that Cassian's gonna die in Flame and Shadow or the next ACOTAR book?
Flame and Shadow.
You know what? If he dies in Flame and Shadow, I might just be done.
Because, I mean, again, the bonus chapter could be in the middle, but I find it weird that he's not in a chapter with his mate.
Oh my god, stop. You're making me sick. Okay.
Bryce and Azriel and Nesta, where the fuck is Cassian? Those Gorsian bullets really got to
fuck up.
And there's still also the thing where I know everyone's like, oh, that's not a big deal, that's not a big deal. But she put that detail in there for a reason, and it bothers me and it racks my brain constantly because I can't really figure it out. But the fact that Azriel is the only one with a mortal affliction, like allergies? What fucking fae has allergies? Fae! How do you have allergies? How? It's an Achilles heel. It's an Achilles heel.
I literally hate that so fucking much.
Either he's gonna get shot, or he gets shot, or whatever. They get it out, kind of like they did with Cormac, and because it's like a Gorsian, whatever, he can't heal himself. So then they try to heal him. As I said in one of my old Cassian's Gonna Die videos, what if he's also allergic to the pink weed that Feyre used on Rhys? Because remember, she had to crush up the pink weed and then like give it to him and then give him her blood. So that's like 2 for 2.
Yeah.
If he's allergic to the weed that could or is supposed to revive him, it's gonna kill him. And 2, if he needs Nesta's fucking blood, death herself, how is that gonna help? He's dead either way.
I hate you. I am.
Everyone's like, the allergy thing doesn't even matter. I'm like, no, but it does matter. It matters because the Fae don't have mortal afflictions. That's the thing. That's why they can heal. And that's why they live for so long. Like, they don't have random mortal shit. Why? Why does he have an allergy? Why?
You know what sucks? Because we're still gonna film that video, and I'm gonna defend against it until I die, until I read the book.
I will start making my notes tonight at work.
Yeah. I'm gonna start typing things up on my phone and start reading and coming up with an argument. But
luckily, I have about 22 videos of it already that I can write notes down from, because every time I thought of something, I recorded it. So
annoyed. I'm so annoyed right now. I'm because it does sense when you talk about it, and that kills me to say, but also because you're a writer, and I think you have different insight into the books, and yeah, that perturbs me that you are by that sentence
picking these things out. Like, I don't get it. Why? Why? She does not
But like,
put stuff
no,
in
but like,
for no
no,
reason. Feyre has what?
Feyre has IBS. Feyre has IBS.
She only had IBS as a human, technically. The watery bowels were in book 1, okay?
No, they were in book 2 and 3 too.
Well, she was scared, all right? That's not Ivy. Okay, but specifically an allergy. Specifically an allergy that can kill you. Because I literally read that and I was like, okay, like he's in spring. I'm like, why the fuck does he have allergies? Like, if you were born in Prithian,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like you were born on the Night Court, but like, what? What? It made no sense. It made no sense. And in my book that I'm writing, I'm not going to give anything away, but in my book that I'm writing, I have literally one small scene between the FMC and someone. I won't give it away, which is
Okay.
just riddled with foreshadowing. And only one of my beta readers picked up on that. One. One. She was like, this was a random scene, and is this foreshadowing for something like this? And I was like, you're the only one who figured it out.
Damn it. I if she breaks my heart,
She's
I
gonna
just
break
don't
her
know
heart
if I can come
regardless.
back
Like,
from that.
somebody is gonna die regardless. Somebody from
I know,
Prithian is gonna die.
but like, why? Like, why does somebody truly have to die? Like, we've been through enough. We've been through enough in all of her. Like, she has she has tapped us out on our emotional damage, and like, I don't feel like we need to go through anymore. And I hope she hears that because she's tapped me out. Okay.
Okay, but just like logically speaking, like just a question to you, like, sure, he's the war general. After the war, what is his arc?
In my mind, it's the father. Cassian is the charge of the Illyrian women movement. He is the face of the
Dude, he's been ignoring Illyria for 500 years. What makes you think he's gonna change it up? Oh, they're slow to change. Oh, it's not worth it. What?
No, and Cassian was there trying to tell them, like, you let the women train. Like, Cassian was making an effort, and you have to admit that.
Yeah.
That was on Cassian.
Well,
Rhys
yeah.
wasn't doing Cassian what?
Well, Cassian wanted them to train, but Devlon was like, after they do their chores, blah 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 blah, and then he like bartered with him. But like, he does nothing about the clipping. He doesn't enforce the law. Like, he's the liaison to Illyria, and he's not doing anything. He's just doing his stuff. The girls train for like what, an hour a week?
How dare you? How
hour a
dare
day.
you?
He doesn't help anyone there. And I also put this in my thing, but I think I might have brought this up to you before, but we already saw Cassian's replacement.
No, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there because 2 things. This is going in our Cassian video. Okay, it's gonna go in our Cassian video, and then I have a screaming little baby that needs me.
We saw his replacement.
No,
we saw how good at politics he is, which Cassian is not.
Nope. No.
Green siphons.
Oh. I don't care. I don't care if Balthazar is a promising character. The answer is no.
Replacement Bat Boy
All right,
initiating Silver Flames.
no, no.
Why
All right,
else would she put?
Melanie,
Why else would she put him in? There,
you
Nesta couldn't have
prepare
saved Emery
yourself.
herself and been a girl boss.
No, you prepare yourself. I'm gonna start preparing. Okay. All right, Mel, I gotta go.
I'm making all the notes tonight, bitch. Send you like
It goes
25
down
pages
tonight. It's starting tonight.
tonight. I'm gonna have like 25 pages.
Bring it on.
My Kindle, I have everything annotated.
Fucking bring it. I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. I'm gonna bring the page numbers. It's gonna be a showdown, okay?
Show down. Okay. Okay, hello.
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 I love it.
New scenery all around.
We need a change, right? We need something a little bit different. And the weather is it's so beautiful outside.
And we always film in the middle of the night. So
yes, we do. And it's because, in case anyone who doesn't know, like, about us, a lot of our listeners do know that there's like a time difference between us, obviously. So we film late at night.
There's a 3-hour time difference. I'm 3 hours ahead of her. She has small kids. I work overnight shifts and evening shifts, so I'm usually asleep during the day. But yeah.
To talk about this, and there's exciting new things to talk about. Like, I have been thinking all week about our upcoming, we're going to kind of talk about our Cassian thing, and I just like keep thinking about Cass. And
I jotted down shit from memory from all my like reels. Well, so I went through my reels and I went through my Cassian video from YouTube that I did like months and months and months ago before I even started Crescent City. And most of the reels were actually mostly about how Cassian and Nesta aren't mates. Instead of
which
like
just breaks my heart that you even say that.
Instead of him dying, so that might be a totally different video than just the concept of him dying. But I did jot down a bunch of notes. I have yet to go through my Kindle annotations because, again, I wish Kindle had a thing where you could like put different quotes into like little like folders.
Yeah, me too.
I wish it was more organized because like they have annotations, but it's all of them. And
I know,
and there's only 4 colors, and it's like
I know. I did this. I was thinking the same thing because I was going through and I annotate on my Kindle instead of like a physical book because it's easier. Like you read on your phone.
I'm not highlighting my book.
I'm not. I know. It's like
I'm not highlighting my book.
It's like kind of sacrilegious. Like I like to highlight it, but I want to have a pristine book and then I want to have a highlighted book, and I can't have 2 books of like everything.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I will definitely have maybe 3 or 4 copies of Flame and Shadow because I was such a loser and I went and bought all the bonus chapters.
I only bought 2. You're gonna have to literally send me the other ones.
Oh, I'll send them all.
I got obviously the Walmart Azriel Nesta Bryce one, which I'm excited
about. I did
not
get that one.
And I got the Ember and Randall one.
Yeah.
I
think I got all of them.
I kept bugging you. Did you read the chapter that I told you I was going to write and then I wrote it for you?
No, I haven't. Okay, I haven't read it. Stop. In my defense, no, I've been thinking about it. I had my kids forever. Let's see. My kids are 3 and 1. We had their birthday party yesterday. It's been a really like hard month.
I saw that post. Holy shit. You went overboard.
My family's the same
remember
thing.
This.
I know. 3-year-old will. I think she will.
Maybe. I don't remember. Do you remember when you were 3? I don't remember when I was 3. I had a fucking Barney cake. My mom dyed the kitchen purple. My whole face was purple. I don't remember that. Only from the video.
I hope she remembers it. I'll have to send you more pictures of it because I mean it was really fun and cute, and we had the Sleeping Beauty there and Spider-Man, but it was, needless to say, these past 2 months have been like a living hell. Like, so it was hard to plan that. And then like I've been telling Melanie, like my kids don't sleep, and now finally finally we're getting into a groove where people are sleeping and it's
Yay.
wonderful. So I'm
Did you get there?
excited.
You got the little beds or the mattress or whatever you were getting?
We got mattresses for both of them. We moved Autumn to a big girl bed and she loves it. And
Yay.
then the baby and I have a bed now and we sleep together and like it's like what you and I talked about. It's
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
was
so much.
I tried to give some helpful tips, but I'm not a parent. I'm just a very, very, very older sister and a very, very, very older cousin. So
You had some really good tips though. I used like a lot of them. I used most of them actually. So
but the way that
and
my
they
aunt
worked.
still gives my 5-year-old cousin baby melatonin to go to bed because she's like, he'll never go to bed. He'll never go to bed.
There are some children who just like don't
They
sleep and
don't
I
run
don't
out of
understand.
energy ever. They have
I
to
know.
be knocked out.
I don't understand it.
It's always the boys too. It's always
It
boys.
is. It's always the boys. My girl sleeps just fine, but my son, holy Moses.
Well, that was a double whammy. It was not only your second child who is always the most rowdy, but it's also a boy.
Boy, it's true. I feel like there's a typical pattern. Like, the eldest, like if it's a girl, is like usually like very by the book, like things. I'm an eldest girl too.
Me too.
And can we just talk about too, like just so maybe our listeners can get to know us a little bit more because
Yeah.
we've never really talked
Yeah.
about ourselves. Like, so I'm an oldest child. I think Melanie, you're an oldest child,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah,
And
by a while.
by a while. And you're also a Taurus, right? I
Our
am too.
birthdays are 4 days apart.
I know they are. And we're both up like all night, late at
All
night,
night.
basically, which
Yeah,
is
I'll like
mostly when
text
we
her at work
text.
and she'll
Yeah.
respond and I'm like, "See, this is when we should be filming at like
I
3 a.m."
That's when we get our best ideas when we're just like sleep deprived.
I'm always this tempted to like film at work because so I do midnight shifts. I think I mentioned that I work with police. I'm not going to go into a lot about my job on here cuz personal stuff. But I'm always like so tempted like nobody comes in to check on me during the midnight shift. Like it's usually pretty dead. There are some nights where like we have a prisoner or whatever, but it's just we have our best ideas. And I'm like, I wish we could film this right now before it leaves my brain because then of course like the phone rings or we get a call and then like I don't remember what it was.
Yes, I know. And it's like, it's actually a lot of fun that I have friends like that are awake late at night when I'm awake because no one else is. Like, no one else is awake. and,
Oh,
and all I want to do is talk about Akatar, and
I
no one
know.
else wants to do that.
I
So
know. That's all we do is what about this? And I just reread this line. And what if this is connected to this?
it's so good. But like I know for those of you listening, like we are still gonna talk about Akatar for a very long time until it's done, probably. But we're
We're
talking
just
about
gonna
like I
we're going to repeat ourselves to
I
the
know.
death. You're gonna be so sick of us.
I love it. I will never get bored of it. So,
I know, honestly. But yeah, so we are both Tauruses. My birthday is April 24th, hers is April 28th. So yeah, I think that's a huge reason of why we vibe. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, not the astrology people." But honestly, come on. Like me and my
no, I
mom don't
think
really get
it's
along. My mom's a Capricorn. Okay. She's a Capricorn Sagittarius cusp. Can't handle it. Can't.
I actually don't know if I could.
ADHD all around and I just can't.
You're like, I'm trying to talk to you. You need to stop what you're doing. Get control of yourself.
Her and my youngest brother are the same fucking person. Just she literally
Like,
went
that's true
copy
of you.
paste with him, because I'm nothing like her. We are polar opposites.
Yes.
But yeah, she had me when she was 20. Um, there you go, polar opposites. The wild child. My mom is one of 6 girls.
Oh my gosh.
She's the
Oh,
4th.
oh.
Middle child syndrome and wild child. So,
There is something to be said about the middle children. Like they're a little bit more wild. Like my
yeah.
son is gonna be a middle child and he is wild. Already, I can tell
Wild.
he's gonna be wild. And give me a run for my money.
My son is gonna be a middle child. Oh, tell us you're not gonna have more kids without
I
telling
know.
us. You're like, just so you all know, there's gonna be more bedtime hangups.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad, you guys, for
It's
Mel because she's
fine.
been such a good like sport this whole time. Like we had this idea to like it started with a video. It started with the Tamlin Lauren
Oh
video
my God.
and
Yeah.
in theory, right? Because I'm still convinced. I don't care. I'm still convinced that's what's
And
gonna
then
happen.
and then I was just like, okay, give me your ideas. I'll put my ideas. And it turned into like this 13-page thing where there could not possibly be one video. And I was like, you know what? Podcasts kind of seem to be on the rise. Why don't we just do a podcast about it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it became a thing. And so here we are. I think on my last check, actually, let me check now because I haven't checked today. I'm kind of like obsessed with the stats now. I don't know why. I just check it
I'm obsessed with the stats. I love that you send it to me. And every time I check it, I'm like,
out.
how many watches, how many plays, like what
So we
number?
have 122 followers.
Woo, woo.
That's awesome.
Love
That's
it. I
awesome.
love it.
We started in the end of July. End of
Yeah,
July,
it was the end of
beginning of
July.
July, something like that. Yeah, so that's awesome. 338 plays. Audience size this week was 58. So
Hey, I am so thankful for everyone who's listening and we
we're
like
so
love you
thankful.
guys and I know
So
we
much.
really are. And it's so fun too. Like it's just a fun topic and
Yeah. And I've gotten so many. So we made the Instagram. I also made a Threads, but I really don't do Threads that often. Sorry.
I don't use
So
threads.
I'm back and forth between my Instagram and the Akafath girls Instagram. And you've probably seen me put up clips and little reels and this is going to be posted this day and this is going to be posted this day or whatever, but we've gotten a lot of really awesome DMs from people too that are like,
I
"Oh my
love that.
God, I'm so glad that there's a podcast that just doesn't prop up Reese as this huge hero. And there's one that actually like people who think the way we think." And like we've gotten so many of those, and then we've gotten so many of like the way that your minds work is ridiculous, and I never would have thought about this stuff. And it's just so much fun to get those DMs. I'm just they keep coming and they're just awesome. So if anyone wants to DM us and they're like, I don't know if I'm going to be bothering them or whatever, I'm up all night. She's up all night. We're going to answer. One of us is going to answer.
Do it. We love it. And
So,
like we love
do it.
feedback too. Like you said, it's like it's so fun to read and we want people and like too, like I think you and I talked about later on once we get more established, like having like our listeners as guests or having
Yeah,
people with series as guests, like and interacting. So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so you obviously by now because we keep repeating this, but obviously I write fan fiction, but I'm also writing my own book.
yes,
Writing my own book. It's been months since I
you
actually
are.
went into
You
the
are. It
document,
takes people
but
years to write a book.
it's been so I started writing it actually the same exact day that I started writing my ACOTAR fanfic, the main one. So April 25th of 2022. So it's been a year and a half. So
And I can't wait for the day where we're talking about your book on here and I'm like get to ask you all about it because I'm so excited. It's gonna
I am
happen.
the worst. I am the worst. I will give everything away. Like
No, I mean you've been pretty good. Like you've held yourself back on some of it.
some of it, some of it, some of
Some
it.
of it. I mean you're nowhere near SJM. Like
I
she is
know.
she doesn't give anything away. But
Yeah, I mean, if I ever did Q&As, like I would drop a little thing here or there, like give them something, especially if it's a paid event. Just saying.
Drop an Easter egg. Well, yeah, I can't. We're not even gonna talk about that event because I've got thoughts, but that's for another day.
Anyway, I'm still petty,
Anyways,
but
I
but
know.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of get worried because like I see the trend of fantasy books going around Instagram and everything, and a lot of them are kind of like ACOTAR
Yeah.
or like pirates or like the big kind of fantasy stuff, and I really don't have a lot of world building. Um, I think we talked about Charmed before, how I love that show.
It's a good show. I used to watch it too.
And so mine is more kind of like that. Like it's not huge world building. It's like in the modern world and they just happen to have powers. There's it's kind of hard to explain. But basically there are two parallel realms, which also reminds me of Crescent City now that I'm talking about it, but I hadn't read it when I started my book, I swear. But there's two parallel realms at the same time, and one of them is the human realm, which is obviously like Earth or whatever. And the other one is the magical realm, which is still Earth, but it was created out of a pocket in the human realm.
I love it. No way. I
Basically, some of my lore is that it wasn't the Salem witch trials because I wasn't gonna like drop actual history or whatever, but basically in my book there was a worldwide witch trials, and the survivors of that decided to rally all of their power together and create their own world, so like they wouldn't be hunted or taken advantage of or experimented on and stuff like that. So they created a rip in the world and the atmosphere, and they went through it and they created their own world. And so that's the magical realm. And that's where all of like the witches, they call themselves witches, obviously. That's where all the witches are now, and they don't trust humans because of all that history that had been handed down and everything. And that's basically the lore for mine. And there's not a lot of huge world building because
I don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's the modern world. The only difference between the human realm and the magical realm in my book is that the magical realm still has a monarchy or monarchies because there's different kingdoms,
Yeah.
but I've only really delved into two, which are like enemy kingdoms or whatever, and there's history about that. But yeah, the only difference is that there's monarchies in the magical realm.
I love it. You know what too is I feel like, and I agree with you. I think there's a major trend that a lot of the fantasy books are starting to sound like ACOTAR,
Yeah.
and it's not great. You know what I mean? Because we need something
I'm
original. So
like,
that's your book is going to be unique and different, and like that's what we need. We need like different things to come in
I
because we're
know. I'm
all
like, it's so different though. Like there's not like a ton of high fantasy or like any of that, like no
no.
fae or like no pirates. Like there's none of that stuff. So I kind of get worried that it's not gonna be popular. Like they're gonna be like, oh, this is boring, and then just kind of put it down. But
I disagree. I disagree completely because like lately too, I don't know if you guys ever go through this. Like I'm a crazy binge reader. So I could read Crescent. I think I read House of Earth and Blood in 3 days because I read it all day, all night, all day, all
Me
night.
too.
So so I feel like I've been binging on all of this stuff, for so long. And now I'm like, I
Yeah,
need a palate cleanser. I need a break.
yeah.
I need something different to shake it up. Like I'm like, I've never read Tessa Bailey, but I was looking into like reading a Tessa Bailey book, and that's modern world.
So I'm gonna do this real quick.
Yes. Yeah. Can we just talk about
I
how many books you have? And also how beautifully stacked each of those books are. I'm so impressed compared
words
to
in the
my
middle.
bookcase.
So I had my sister's confirmation yesterday, and I'm gonna get back to something, but my mind is weird,
Yes.
as you all know. But I had my sister's confirmation yesterday, and I went up to my parents' house, and that happened, and then we went out to dinner or whatever, and we came back, and there is a Barnes and Noble near their house, which is the only good thing about, well, not the only good thing, but it's one of the good things about visiting them, you know.
Yeah.
And so I went to Barnes and Noble, and of course my mom wanted to go shopping too. So I was like, okay, but I'm driving, so
Okay.
get in. She's such a backseat driver. She's like, I'm like, I can see. They're braking. I know they're braking. I'm also braking. What is wrong with you? But anyways, I went to
No, I love it. I also, my husband is too. He's a total backseat driver, and like he'll be like, I don't know if you have this experience with your Rob, but he'll be like, "You need to turn now," and I'm like,
yeah.
you know,
Stop.
he makes me, yeah, he makes me like jittery. Oh, sorry, Atticus. Here, I just want to show you guys our dog over here. Atticus, come here. Atticus. Say hi. Say hi to our followers. Excuse my messy backyard, guys, but
But yeah, so like I went into like the paper store with her or whatever. And I know not all of you, I never can talk. My mind goes a million miles a minute, so I think of it before I say it, and then I just,
yeah.
yeah. Anyways, not all of our followers are from the US, but anyways, the paper store is not actually a store for paper. It's more like a gifts and novelty store. So I went in there with my mom, and we were just looking around or whatever, and then she went to Barnes and Noble with me, which I told her I'm not rushing, so go do your thing and I'll go do my thing. And she's like, she just texted me. She's like, I found an open chair in the history section. I'm just gonna be sitting here. I was like, okay. But I go for fantasy, obviously, but in her Barnes and Noble, the fantasy section is so small. It's like one cubicle, which
Oh,
sucks
what?
because so I like go through it, and all of the good ones I already
You're like Reddit.
yeah, there was nothing new there. So then I go to the rom-coms, which I also really love, which is a palette cleanser.
Yeah, it is.
So I love, like you said, like Tessa Bailey, Sarah Adams. I'm trying to think who else. I got
Have
a
you,
bunch of books yesterday. Chloe Leese. They're very, I love their books, but
have you ever read an Emily, what's her name? It happened, Emily
oh,
Henry.
Emily Henry, yeah. I
I've
haven't
never
read them
read
yet, but I
Emily.
have it.
Yeah, and I really want to start a Tessa Bailey book, and then like I'll go into Emily Henry later. But and there's another one, Elise. What's her name? Is it like Elise Silver or something? Does she write romantic?
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I've seen her name.
There's Meg Cabot, Lena
What?
Harper. Lena
What
Harper
about?
is like fantasy romance, not fantasy romance, but it's rom-com with aspects of fantasy. So hers are like
Oh,
hers are romance books, but it's like a small town witch or like a wizard or like they're really cute.
oh, I like that. That's really cute. Who is that?
Lena Harper.
Elena Harper.
Lena,
Okay.
Lana Harper.
Lana. Okay.
And also I have to plug my friend on here. I don't think she watches our podcast because I don't think she's read ACOTAR yet, but she has been a big support to me during writing my book and everything. Because I'm also writing a romance book at the same time.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
a Friends to Lovers one. Yeah. And her name is Erin Thompson. Thomson. There's no P. And her trilogy each follows one friend in like their own relationship. And I love her books so much. And she's been so
Oh,
nice and helpful to me.
I love that. Everyone needs like a good writer friend. You know what I mean? Like people need support to like finish their books. It's hard.
So her first one was it's actually right over there, but The Wedding Planners. I actually didn't read that one yet, even though it was the first one. I read the second one, which is Five Dates Between Friends, because for some reason I love Friends to Lovers a lot more than Enemies to Lovers.
I'm intrigued by that.
Because with friends to lovers, it's like, especially like childhood friends to lovers, there's no like getting to know you stage that takes up
Yeah.
half the book. Like it's more tension right off the bat, and I just
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah.
So Five Dates Between Friends is one of my top favorite books ever.
Really?
I
Okay, I'll
love
have
it.
to read it.
Yeah.
Is it on Kindle too?
Yeah, it is on Kindle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the main character's name is Chastity, and the MMC's name is very long, so they shorten it to Mac, which is his initials.
Okay.
And if you guys didn't know from my love of Tamlin, I love blonde guys. And Mac is a blonde, curly hair. I love it. So I was obsessed with that book. I love that book. And she just recently released the third one, which is called Strings Attached, which follows Mac and Chase's, her nickname's Chase, Mac and Chase's friend Harley and her relationship. Um, and I was going back and forth with Erin about it, like before she published it, because in Five Dates Between Friends, um, Harley is dating Hunter. And I was like, oh my God, are Harley and Hunter gonna get a book? Are Harley and Hunter gonna get a book? They have to get a book or whatever. And she's like, it's not Harley and Hunter. And I was like, I was so mad. She's like, she doesn't end up with Hunter. I'm like, oh. I'm like, then you better be giving me a Hunter book. Because Strings Attached is Harley and Jake's book. And I was like, who the fuck is Jake? I was gonna throw down.
I don't know how I feel about. I mean, I guess I don't know this. I don't know how I feel about like the not a love triangle. I'm not like I like a love
Yeah.
triangle, a good love triangle,
Yeah.
but also like sometimes when the love interest gets like mixed up with me, I'm like I don't like it. So that makes me nervous
Yeah.
that like it wasn't the original couple that you were planning.
Yeah. So like that's the thing. So I Harley and Hunter were like never really like official. They were more like, I don't know, friends with benefits, basically.
Okay.
And so I think she kept it that way during Chase and Mac's book just because she knew that she wasn't gonna end up with Hunter. But I was like, they're so cute. And she's like, yeah, like it's not actually a triangle because like her and Hunter were just kind of the casual thing. They were friends, but like whatever. But I was like,
Wow.
how are you gonna do my Hunter like that?
I was gonna say, what
Come
now?
on.
I want to know what happens between them. Like,
I
how is
know.
there not? How are
I
there not
know.
feelings involved?
So that's when everyone was like, you need to read Crescent City. You need to read Crescent City. I was like, God damn it, because Strings Attached had just come out. And I was like,
Oh,
fine, I'll read Crescent City. So I've read Crescent City and I still have Strings Attached in my work bag and I haven't read it yet.
okay. Now, because I need to know what happens, so you need to read it and then come and tell me. Because that's what we do with each other, right? We
I know.
spoil. We're
I
like
know.
the
I know.
worst.
You need to read Five Dates Between Friends. You need
Okay,
to read it. It is the
I will. I'll
cutest
download it.
it is the cutest little thing. I was obsessed. Obsessed. And
I'm so excited.
yeah,
I love good. I love a good book. I love a good book recommendation. So I will take that. I will definitely download it.
yeah. And it's just funny because I found her Instagram when she was promoting Five Dates Between Friends. And I was like, oh, I love Friends to Lovers. Like, I'm gonna, save it till for when it comes out or whatever. And then I did, and I read it, and I would comment on her posts or whatever, or on her stories or whatever. And I forget what story it was, but like she replied to it, and then we just started talking, and like she's just really cool, and I love her, and she's awesome. I have a lot of like British author friends. And she's very British,
Really?
but she's
That's
very
interesting.
nice. But yeah, I love her, and you should definitely buy her trilogy because she's just the best.
Oh,
And
I love it.
yeah, and I'm always like, I don't know how you like bang out these books so fast. Like I'm doing my friends to lovers and I'm like there's so many details I have to add and how does this get to this and how do they get here from this and then he has to get over this trauma and she has to get over this trauma and I'm like
Yes.
blows my mind how people can write books so fast.
I always wonder about that because it's like eventually down the road I have a couple of my own ideas that I'm like, on the back burner when I actually have time to like sit and like write things down and like instead of just reading. And I always wonder, I'm like, how do people do you daydream? Do you just think about this nonstop? Like,
Yeah. Like I said, I have not touched mine in months. And I know it's my fault because all of the ACOTAR character weeks are toward the end of the year. So I did Eris week and I did Tamlin week and I did Gwynriel week and I did Gwyn week and I'm doing Lucian week. And I never finished the fix during that week because of my work schedule.
what?
So I'm still like my Eris fic is still open-ended. My Tamlin and Nova fic is still open-ended.
I love the Tamlin Nova fic.
My I did post a Lucian and Jasminda one shot, which
Hey,
is
wait, is it on Wattpad or on
no, Archive of Our Own.
our own?
So I posted Jasminda's death and him running from the Autumn Court.
So sad. And then do you have Tamlin's appearance in the end?
Yes. So yeah. So
Swoon.
that's what it is. It's Lucian living through Jasminda's death and then him running from Autumn, him trying to get Jasminda's parents to take him in, and they're just no. They're
They're
not.
like, I hate you.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dad was not happy. Like he says in the book, like they wouldn't, like they all hate me, like all of the Fae hate me because of what happened to her, which I don't think is fair. He just
I
loves
don't think
her.
it's fair. But that seems to be kind of like a reoccurring theme. Have you noticed that in SJMs where it's like people get blamed for things that they're not, but that's also real life. Like you get blamed for things that
Yeah.
you didn't do.
Because I mean, I guess if you look from their perspective, like you were the Prince of Autumn, like, and you couldn't protect her, like you
Respect
knew
her.
she was like lesser Fae, you knew about your father, and you chose to carry on a relationship with her anyway. But honestly, the way that he describes Jasminda, I actually really, really, really love the way that he describes her as like fierce and wild and like not one to be told what to do. And so like she seduced him. Like she was like, I want that one. And
Yeah.
then she got him in a relationship.
I loved it. I was like really surprised, but I feel like that's kind of what Lucian likes.
He
You know what I
needs
mean?
that. Like he needs the
He needs it.
banter, he needs the fire. Which I think we're gonna see with Elaine at some point. But I don't know, that little like the little tiny details affect me so much. So I think I told you, but I'm being being Jasminda for Halloween.
I'm so
For
excited
my
to see
Halloween party.
Yes. I'm so excited.
I have her monarch butterfly wings over there. I have the
Oh.
autumn like leaf crown thing. I have to freshly dye my hair because it's looking brown again. But I'm gonna dye my hair copper again and like curl it tightly. And I have golden tattoo freckles that I'm gonna wear. And I have this green dress with like these bell sleeves and this brown corset. And it's just gonna be really cute. And I got like glitter to put on my face and everything. And I don't know.
I'm so excited. And she's such a good character. Like
It's
we
so
don't know anything
sad that
about-
we haven't seen flashbacks. Like I want
I
Jasminda
know.
flashbacks so bad.
I want Jasminda flashbacks. I want more of Lucian. Like I don't know. I feel like I always talk about him, but it's because I love
do.
him and I love his character. And
So
I mean, how cool would that be to see Tamlin, like Lucian running through the forest for his life, and then we just see this beast who's like,
Yeah.
so cool. I cannot wait.
So as much as I try to keep it close to canon as possible, but I love writing the scenes that we've heard about and haven't seen. It's like one of my big things with fanfics. Like that's just what I love to write. So that's why I had to write this for Lucian Week. But obviously in Lucian's POV, like he doesn't know that Eris told Tamlin to get there. He was just running, he was grief-stricken, like he was he had her blood all over him because he like rushed over to her body after she was beheaded, and I had them like stab through her wings and like just yeah. So he was like all bloody, he was crying, he was getting all dirty running through. He slept in a cave, which is how he knows how to do caves. But he wouldn't like warm himself up because his brothers were coming after him to hunt him, so he couldn't use his fire, so he was like freezing all night. And then he was just running, 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 and he's like, I think I'm somewhere near the spring border or whatever. He wasn't really sure. And then his brothers catch up to him, and there's a brawl between him and one of his brothers, and then Tamlin and the other brother, which Tamlin just
Oh yeah.
fucking
So easily. So
Yeah.
easily.
But the thing is, we know that Lucian had been in Spring for a few centuries at least, right? And we know that he's a lot younger. He's a couple centuries younger than Tamlin and Rhys. So if Tamlin was like 500, or if Tamlin was like 300 at the time or whatever, because it was centuries ago, then yeah, 300, 200, something like that. He would have been like probably a new High Lord, and B, that means Lucian would have literally been in like his 20s. Like, so he was young
Young.
when this happened with Lucian, with Jasminda, which is basically what he says. Like, oh, we were young and she was wild, and I, stuff like that. And so in the I feel like I always end up describing my fics, but I want you guys
I
to
like
read
it.
it.
I like listening to it. We're definitely gonna read it. It's on Archive of Our Own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, Tamlin kills one of his brothers, and he just kind of looks at Lucian brawling with the other one, and he's like, see what this kid has in him. Like, let's like it. I'm not gonna let him get killed because I promised Eris or whatever. But let's see what he's got.
Yes.
So, which
He's
he didn't have a lot back then, because again, as much as he probably had some training, we have to remember that Baron figured he wasn't really his kid. He said that like, oh, I was like the unwanted whatever, I could go do whatever I want. So he probably didn't have a lot of warrior training in
yeah.
his 20s anyway,
Yeah.
So basically it's like they're just brawling, and then he knocks the knife out of the brother's hand or whatever. They're brawling, and he like grabs it with one of his other hands, and one of his brothers lunges, and he basically just stabs him like right in the heart. And there's just this moment where Lucian's like shit, like I actually killed him. Like, as awful as he is, like he was young,
Oh yeah. I mean, he's
And
a young.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then just when Tamlin's like, all right, like, come on, like, let me bring you back to the manor. Like, you have to bathe, you have to eat. And for those of you who know my personal headcanon about Bryn, I don't know if you remember, but I do have a headcanon that there was like a spring inner circle at one point before Amarantha's curse, which consisted of Lucian, Tamlin, and a female. Kind of like the inner circle with Mor before Amaranth showed up or whatever. So it was Tamlin, Lucian, and Brynja, who likes to be called Bryn. And that was before like Andros was born or whatever. But Bryn is there and Tamlin is there, and they're making the introductions, and she's like, oh, hey kid, and like it's just like really cute, and it shows Lucian like when he was really young, when he first got to Spring, and just compared to the Lucian we know from the books now, and just how much shit he's been through.
Oh, so much shit. So that, I mean, but they've all been through it, but Lucian especially, I can go on forever.
Yeah, but it's sad because I wanted to kind of drive the nail in to show why Lucian says that Spring is his home, because I mean, Tamlin gave him like a room, a job, he helped train him, like all this stuff that his father never did for him. So I will say consistently to anyone, I'll argue this point, But Tamlin and Lucien are brothers. I don't give a shit about blood. They are brothers. Like Tamlin's his older brother.
Totally.
You know, that's
Totally.
how I see them. That's how I see, and that's why Lucien won't give up on him because he didn't give up on Lucien. You
Yes.
know, just all their history that we never got to see either. Yeah, I was gonna do a small fic about like when he got his eye ripped out because we didn't see that scene either with Nuon or
No.
anything. Because remember the High Lords meeting, like Nuon and Tamlin were weird with each other, which I didn't get, but we know that Tamlin brought him to her to help his eye or whatever, but it's like Tamlin saved his ass on the border, like he brought him to Nuon to get his eye fixed, like Lucien stood up for him against Amarantha and then stood up for Feyre because he knew Tamlin loved her against Amarantha. And it's like they're just like they're kind of what Lucien and Eris should have been if there
Yeah.
was no Baron. Which is why I'm excited for Baron to die and Eris to kind of come in the picture because I don't know. I don't know whether that thing between Nuon and Tamlin was just petty. Oh, he's my best friend, but he's my best friend, but he's my like I feel like that's kind of petty.
There
But
has to be more to it, don't you think? It was
yeah,
because it
like
was so.
why? I don't know.
I have to go back and like read the actual text again, but I don't know because Tamlin brings people to Nuon
Yeah.
multiple times, multiple
Yeah.
different people. Like he consulted her. Did he consult her for like Feyre too, or someone? Well, I know he
Maybe.
went to
Yeah.
Helion, but I don't
Helion,
know.
Helion.
Yeah,
Well,
Helion.
he told it's assumed that Tamlin told Lucien about the Fabane weapons and
Yeah.
asked him to ask Nuon about some sort of potion or antidote. So it was just weird that they refused to like look at each other, acknowledge each other. And it will say like she didn't even glance at Tamlin or the male at the opposite side of the room despite their mutual friend or something like that. It's just weird to me. But I feel like
Unless like, or was she just going off of the rumors of what was happening from the inner circle and the belief that Tamlin was working for Hybern? Like, do you think that maybe it's just that?
probably, probably. I am kind of annoyed that she didn't stay for the whole meeting though.
Yeah, I'm annoyed she didn't stay for the whole meeting. I'm annoyed that she doesn't give Tamlin the benefit of the doubt. Like nobody
Like he
did.
helped save your mutual friend. Like, yeah, it's weird. But I'm interested to see if Eris and Tamlin are gonna kind of fight over Lucien, like he's my brother, no, he's my brother, no, he's my brother, you know? I think that would just be very funny. Um, but right now, like, I don't know, I hate how so many narratives are spun in the universe where like the people that should know things don't know things.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that too.
Like,
You know what I also find interesting is you would think that Eris and Tamlin would be closer. Why are they not good friends?
are they not?
Oh, you think Eris is?
I that's how I wrote it in my fic that they were secretly in cahoots about Lulu and he has a big blow up fight with Tam Tam about that one.
I know, and well, so that's really interesting to me. Their dynamic is bizarre. Like Eris and
Well,
Tamlin, by all accounts, should be very good friends, but in the actual ACOTAR books, not your fix, like they're definitely not. But then we also see Eris at the cabin with Lucien in the Band of Exiles when Lucien had called Eris a snake in previous
oh,
books.
yeah, yeah, in Akawar, he's like, yeah, Eris is a snake to
Yeah.
Mole, and yeah. But see, that's the thing with Tamlin and Eris. Tamlin never told him about Eris helping to save him and why.
What? I wonder
I
why.
think I know why, but I think I know a lot of things that might not
Wait,
happen, so
tell me why. Why do you think he didn't tell him?
because Lucien is the type of person as we see who just he wears his heart on his sleeve. Like, he's not gonna put somebody out that didn't actually do him wrong.
Okay.
So if Tamlin told him that, right, he would probably try to help Eris. I don't know if it would be like more help Eris because he knows there's a bounty on his head. But if him and Eris were still close and Baron got wind of that, he would just make everything worse, which mirrors Under the Mountain with Feyre and Tamlin when Lucien tells Feyre, did you ever think he's not speaking to you so she doesn't make it worse with your weaknesses? Like, so he doesn't give away your weakness. And I think that's what this is. I think Tamlin didn't tell him because if he knew, he wouldn't be mean to Eris. He wouldn't hate him. He would still want to have some sort of relationship with him. And Eris knows that if the wedge wasn't successfully driven between them from Baron, because we know Lucien believes that Eris was one of the ones that held him down, even though he wasn't. If that wedge wasn't there, Baron would just make it worse for everybody.
That makes sense. The way that you say that. Okay.
I mean,
Huh.
he would make it
Interesting.
worse for Eris. He would make it worse for Lady Autumn.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that he's like after the Spring Court now, but would anyone really trust him not to send anybody after Lucien, even in the Spring Court?
Well, that's what I find interesting. I mean, like, I think we see him leave Autumn and then like he lived with Tamlin for I don't know how many years and years, right? Like a long time.
Yeah. Tamlin
And-
made him his emissary, that's why.
Unless Tamlin and if he was killing people that were trying to come after Lucien, I don't know. Maybe.
But yeah, it's just, and like how I said before, if Baron thought that Eris had any ties to Lucien still, and we know that Baron pretty much thinks that feelings are a weakness, right?
Right.
He wouldn't want the heir to the throne to be like that. He wants them to be like him. And that's
Yeah.
why Eris wears that mask. So if Baron knew that he was still talking to Lucien, had a relationship with Lucien, like felt bad for Lucien, helped him survive the other brothers when Baron said, okay, go hunt him, right? He would kill Eris off too.
Well, and but that's what intrigues me about Eris's story is like, I feel like too, not to change the topic, but in ACOTAR and ACOMAF, it's like heavily implied that like the magic picks the next High Lord, but like Eris keeps like doing these, like, you need to support me. You need, like, why are you doing the
I
magic
need your
picks?
bid.
Yes, the magic picks. Why are you doing that? I don't know.
There's multiple arguments for this, and it all leads back to whether they know if Lucien is Helions or not. I
Yeah.
think SJM purposely puts in different scenes to throw us off what the real truth is.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there's multiple scenes where it seems like even Lucien knows, but then he won't talk about how he spell cleaved at the Highburn camp, and Eris won't talk about how why he isn't afraid of Lucien taking the throne because they knew he was powerful or whatever. And then like Lucien says, did you think it was just whatever that made my brothers try to kill me? Like like they know in some scenes, but then in some other scenes it just makes it seem like they don't know.
I know. It's really, really weird.
It's really weird. And I saw somebody it was on our chat group today. I don't know if you got to see it, but they posted screenshots from a TikTok about inconsistencies in ACOWAR. And I had an explanation for it. And I don't know how I just think of these things, but like I have to put context to everything. Even if I don't know what the context is, I just do. But there was 2 lines from ACOWAR. and I'll actually pull them up so I don't get them wrong. But there were two lines from ACOWAR, and it was talking about how like inconsistent they were, and like her editors should have caught this, and why is SJM like so inconsistent with things, especially in the same book. And so the first line was, this is Feyre in ACOWAR.
Yeah.
I bared my teeth and sent a fist of white light punching into that fiery shield, the white light of day, Spellbreaker, Ward Cleaver. So that was during the High Lord meeting. It says Baron's eyes widened as his shields begin to fray as the water pushed in. So that's when she was like trying to drown him, right? And then later on in ACOWAR, when or earlier in ACOWAR, when he's leaving Spring with Feyre, he says, it says, Lucien was having none of it. I knew you were lying the moment you unleashed that light in Hybern. My friend at the Dawn Court has the same power. Her light is identical. So they're like, so now the Dawn Court is spell cleaving in light, and so this was my response, because this is just, I don't know, this is just what I thought of. I said Thesan and Helion both have light, but Thesan is said to shine the brightest of all the High Lords, which is also kind of odd to me. I said, but seeing as this is Lucien saying it, I think he's purposely throwing Feyre off, because if he had said Helion, Feyre would have pointed out the white light that he used to be free of Hybern's shackles to get to Elaine, and he probably doesn't want her putting two and two together and questioning things and then putting his mother in danger because he saw what she's capable of in Spring.
Very good. Excellent. Like, so good. Never would have thought of that. Lucien, but we've talked about him
Hello,
before.
the fox?
Yeah.
The sly fox?
He spins. Lucien spins what he says all the time. All the time.
So I looked at that and I was like, he doesn't want her putting two and two together.
Is it because of his mom, though? Like, why he's very protective?
It's because of his mom, because again, when she was in his head, he says like, oh, I told the Spymaster everything, but things about my mother, some things were too personal to tell anyone. So I, like, again, it seems like he knows.
I think he has to know. Like, the farther out I am from reading it, the more times I do reread, he has to know. Lucien is so smart. He's arguably, I mean, they're all incredibly smart, but Lucien is like, he's really bright, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell me he hasn't figured out that he's Helion's son.
But yeah, I'm like, he has to be throwing her off. Which I don't doubt that Nuon has light. Like, I don't doubt that, but we know that they can't spell cleave. That's a Daycourt thing. Yeah. And if she's thinking, okay, spell cleaving, but then Tamlin was lashed earlier and you got out of your shackles, and like, that's how Feyre's mind works, and he's seen it firsthand, and he's not giving her anything to use against him.
Good, because especially after seeing her ruin the Spring Court.
Exactly. This is when they are running. And this was after they had that big fight. It was the big fight that they had in the cave. And he was like,
he's not going to give it to her.
And he was like, well, what about me? Did you even think about me? Like, as your friend? And then, oof.
I know.
I want to find the quote because I always forget exactly what it is. Here it is. I found it. Yay. Oh my god, I didn't highlight it. I should have had that highlighted. Yes. So, he tells her the history of himself. Ugh, the apple tree. Also, the way that his mom smells like apples, and he loves apples so much. It makes me sad.
He loves they love their mom, like Eris and Lucien. They love her so much.
I know, it's so cute. But yeah, anyways, she's like, I should have killed Ianthe outright. What was done was done. Um, I took a moment to rest beneath an apple tree laden with fat succulent fruit, and then, they ate the apples or whatever. And Lucian says, we'll have to stay out of sight. My father doesn't pay well for his crops, and the land workers will earn any extra coin they can. And she said, even selling out the location of one of the High Lord's sons. And he says, especially that way. So this is also why Eris has to be very careful, even in his home court. And Feyre says, they didn't like you. His jaw tightened. As the youngest of 7 sons, I wasn't particularly needed or wanted. Baby, you were.
I know.
You
You're the
were
most wanted one.
the product of love.
Yeah.
Perhaps it was a good thing I was able to study for longer than my father allowed my brothers to before shoving them out the door to rule over some territory within our lands, and I could train for as long as I liked since no one believed I'd be dumb enough to kill my way up the long list of heirs. When I grew bored with studying and fighting, I learned what I could of the land from its people, learned about the people too. Ugh, he eased to his feet with a groan, his unbound hair glimmering as the midday sun set the blood and wine hues aglow.
No.
I love
And
that.
I love the idea of him easy to his feet with a groan. Like, oh, Lucian's tired.
That my young man is tired.
He's tired.
I call him Fireling, like he's still a kid. But also, the sun lighting him up constantly. We should have seen that coming. But Feyre says, I'd say that sounds more High Lord-like than the life of an idle, unwanted son. And he gave me a long, steely look. Did you think it was mere hatred that prompted my brothers to do their best to break and kill me? Despite myself, a shudder rippled down my spine. Would you want it, your father's crown? No one's ever asked me that, Lucian mused. The bloodshed that would be required to earn the crown wouldn't be worth it, neither would its festering court. I would gain a crown only to rule over a crafty, two-faced people. Lord of Foxes, Feyre says, snorting as I remembered the mask he'd once wore. But you never answered my question about why the people here would sell you out. And then he says, after Jasminda, they would. And then Feyre says, Jasminda, he'd never spoken her name. She was one of them. The words were barely audible over the barley. And when I didn't protect her, it was a betrayal of their trust, too. I ran to some of their houses while fleeing my brothers. They turned me out for what I let happen to her. And I can't blame them for it.
Lucian.
But, like, do you think it was mere hatred that prompted my brothers to do their best to break and kill me? After talking about being an heir? Like, Lulu. Lulu. Farrell J. Maas. When we get Lucian and Elaine's book. Oh.
I feel like it is going to be such a shock to all of us.
She has been building this shit up with Lucian since book 1.
One!
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for his book. Because I think that's why we didn't get those scenes, because she's waiting for his book.
I hope so. I'm still torn as to like which book is going to be next. Like I honestly think in my heart it's going to be Asriel's book. I think she's going to torture us.
I do think it's going to be Gwynriel's book next.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, Lucian is still stationed in Spring.
Yeah.
He's trying to get Tamlin back on his feet. He's trying to figure out what to do about there not being a wall. He technically works for Rhys now, which is going to be not good with Tamlin.
No.
But I would love to see, I don't know, I would just love any Spring Court scenes again.
I do too. I
want it
incorporated. I love Spring Court. I don't know why everyone's
just,
like, oh,
leave the inner circle to their little self for a while and go back to just Tamlin and Lucian being Tamlin and Lucian. Because like the fucking banter, just the book 1 vibe, I want it back.
Oh, I know, when they were, like, sitting at the table, like, chuckling and, like, laughing amongst themselves, like, I want that. I want sassy
know.
Lucian that makes
Yeah,
snarky, crappy
I know.
comments back.
Like, I need Lucian to be like, um, I don't know, I need it to be angsty, but also very bantery. Like,
Yeah.
I'm again, I don't wanna talk about my fan fictions, but I have to because I incorporate all my headcanons about this stuff into them. But I need him to be like, you got through all this shit, like, what would Andrus think?
Yes.
Boom. What would
Yeah.
Andrus think? Like, what would Bryn think? What would they think?
What
Like,
about Braun and Hart? We never learn or hear about them ever again.
I know, like, where are they? Like, what the fuck did Alice do after she chewed him
Yeah.
out? Like,
I'm really peeved at Alice because like Alice to me was like she was so cool. She did so much. She was such a character, and then we never see her again ever.
I could go
Ever.
on and on about my hatred for Alice after ACOWAR, but she just did him so dirty. It's like he took you in when you needed
That's
someone. He paid you to help take care of your nephews. Like he gave you sanctuary, like he gave you a job like Lucian. And you're gonna fucking help Farah Pack to like steal from him and then like
yeah.
what? Ruin his court just because you get to go back to Summer now?
That's what I mean. Like I was really shocked by Alice's behavior after what he did for her, and that's the thing. The thing that really bothers me, yeah, is that like I could go on about Tamlin forever and
Yeah.
always because I love him, but like I feel like people just ignore any good that he has ever done
Oh yeah, they do.
in their lives.
Yeah, they do.
Alice is the perfect example. In fact, Alice couldn't even be honest with him and say when he came back, hey, Feyre had a mental breakdown because you locked her in the house.
Yeah.
Mora came and took her. She couldn't even say anything.
We don't get any scenes of that at all. It's so
What
annoying.
the fuck?
But we don't have any of what happened after then from any of their we only have like the bits and pieces that Lucian has mentioned. But we don't have anything. We never get Tamlin's point of view. We don't know like what happened after like Lucian took the pieces of the ring. Like what did he tell him? Like what was the conversation with Alice? Like what what was that? Like we know he didn't kick Alice out for helping them because she was still
No,
there when Fair came back.
he didn't kick Alice out. He gave Ianthe a second chance and the ability to explain herself. You know, he is constantly giving
Which
people
people
like the
hate him for, but why would you hate him for that? Like in his like you have to look in his point of view. Like Tamlin doesn't know what the reader knows. And they just
Tamlin's
expect that he knows everything that we know and he doesn't.
he doesn't, and no one's honest with him. No one's willing to tell him the
Mm-mm.
truth. Even his best friend Lucian, and I have a couple
I
complaints
know.
about him as time goes on. He takes the ring pieces. If he had just left the ring on the ground, none of that would have happened. And that really
Lulu,
upsets me.
he didn't tell him
Lulu,
about again, like he didn't tell him about the meat bond
yeah,
tattoo.
yeah. There were
But
two things. There were a couple instances that, like, I used to think Lucian was faultless, and I was like, he is the only character that hasn't fucked up.
yeah.
He's fucked up.
Well, I mean, when they're escaping and she basically outs herself as a Daemati, like he honestly didn't know.
Yeah.
So he did at the time think that Tamlin was making all these bad decisions on his own, like the Sentry, because he didn't know she was a Daemati.
He should have known from the hundreds of years living with Tamlin that Tamlin would never do
Yeah,
that.
but the way that he like Feyre had a mental breakdown, he's probably like, okay, this is Tamlin's mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Like he's not doing anything good for the court. Like I can
Yeah.
kind of see how in his point of view, like Tamlin's not doing well. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like how he didn't really help. Like he did, like he talked to him, but I don't know. I don't know what else he could have done, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's just but yeah, like um I'm like I said, I'm still I'm still working on my Lucian week fix, but I have one and the prompt was family, but instead of like Lucian and Eris or Lucian Lady Adamar, I'm doing Lucian and Tamlin. Um and I'm doing the part that we missed, like an Akasif of him coming back. And
Oh,
well, after Akasif, I guess. One of his multiple attempts. It's okay. Like one of the multiple attempts of him trying to like get Tamlin to like get up and get moving again or whatever. And it just he gets him up and going a bit, and they talk about all this stuff, and it's actually a lot deeper than I think the characters probably would ever go, but he's just like look, like you're my brother, blood or not, like I don't want to lose you too, like I know I kind of fucked up and all this stuff.
what?
And it's just a good conversation, and I'm almost done with that one. And then there's
Okay.
going to be like a second part, which is Lucian and Elaine talking for the first time, a different spin on it than I put in my main fic, from the RP actually. It was a very um good thing with that. But yeah, I need to see them. I don't know. I need to see him in spring just getting Tamlin back to who he was. Like I need him to be like, look, you did this for me after Jasminda died. Like you brought me back from the edge. Like let me bring you back from the edge, you know? Like prove to everyone that you're not what they say you are. And like as we know, Tamlin's very suicidal, so he's probably just gonna be like, what's the point? And
They
they
won't
all
believe me
they won't believe
anyways.
me, they hate me anyway, all of this stuff. And it's just sad. I don't know. But yeah,
It's super sad.
and then like there's the whole thing with like him and Elaine, and Tamlin's probably gonna be like, oh well, your mate's an Archeron, and all that stuff. But yeah, and then for day 5. I didn't finish day 5 yet, but day 5, and then I have day 6, which was romance, which is going to be the Lucian and Elaine one. And so I actually, in the RP, I started out as Elaine, and then we kind of flip-flopped down the line, but I started out as Elaine, and as I was writing her, I realized quite a few things about her character that I never actually kind of noticed during the books.
Okay.
Um, one of them is that despite the fact that she likes to cook with the twins or whatever, I kind of made her have like a eating disorder, which I know is bad. Um,
Really? That's
yeah,
interesting.
so we know how like Nesta, made herself worse with drinking and all that stuff. So Elaine has to be some sort of self-sabotaging as well, and we don't really see it just because she's super quiet. So my thing was that like she is secretly not eating anything.
Yeah.
Um because you have to remember this was based on the fact that Feyre and Nesta and even the King of Hybern and like Mor and like all of them like call her like the pretty one, right? So she's like, I have to be the pretty one because what else am I, right? That's what
Yeah.
everyone in the fandom says, like, oh, she's so boring, she doesn't do anything, like flowers and gardening, all this stuff. So her identity is based off what people say about her, and the only thing they say about her is like she's the pretty one, right? So she's gonna want to like stay thin, like not, I feel like she just wouldn't really eat. I feel like she's maybe a little OCD about things.
Yeah.
Um, so in the fic, obviously there's the whole love triangle with Asriel and stuff at first or whatever. And there's a really cute scene actually that I put in where like, Elaine and Lucian are talking and they're kind of getting to know each other, and he realizes very quickly through the bond that like she feels hungry all the time. And he's
Oh.
like, this isn't normal, like is she not eating? Which doesn't he say that in ACOWAR? Thin, so thin she's not eating. He says that in ACOWAR. And so he goes down to the kitchen to like get her a little like midnight snack or whatever. And Azriel is there. And Lucian's just like, it's awkward, obviously, but Lucian's just like, look, like, I know she talks to you more than she talks to me. Like, I know that she's like hungry all the time. Like, did you know about this or whatever? And Azriel's just kind of like, yeah, so I've kind of taken to just putting like hot chocolate and biscuits by her door every night or whatever at the same time.
Aww.
And so they're actually pretty civil about it. And Azriel, despite himself, is like, okay, like maybe it's her mate or whatever. So he gives Lucian the plate and everything. And Lucian takes it up to her. And they have this big discussion on like, why are you starving yourself and all of this stuff. And she's just like, nobody's ever seen me. Like, they see me, but I'm just the pretty one. Like, I'm nothing compared to Feyre and Nesta. Like, I'm not a warrior. I'm not like a high lady. Like, I'm not anything. And they have this really, really cute, very long discussion between them about Elaine's issues and how like she'll like pretend to eat, but then she'll really drop it into the napkin in her lap, or she'll just avoid lunch or whatever. And like Nesta said in the book, like all she would eat is like broth. Like she wouldn't
Yeah.
eat anything. So that kind of incorporated into why I wrote her that way. And then another way that I wrote her, like I said, the OCD aspect, um, is that like she, aside from gardening, which I find with a lot of not just mental illnesses, but going by like my brother had some issues or whatever, but I've found that there's always like one outlier to these things. So Elaine's OCD stemmed from always needing to be, again, pretty, perfect, put together. Like she has to always be wearing a dress. Her hair always has to be done. She has to be like, it has to be pinned up if it's too wild. Like there can't be a speck of dirt on her. Like she has to look regal. Like, and we've seen that in the books. Like she's always dressed
Right.
up, even if she's by the windowsill. She's always dressed up. Her hair is always done and all this. And so she's basically telling him like, my entire self-worth is how people see me as the pretty one. Like, if I don't look the way they want me to look, like, nobody will care about me. Like, nobody will even look in my direction. Like, I could be like drowning and nobody would notice. So she has this really hard discussion with him, and there's a couple moments where he's like, I can like help you with that. Like we can go slowly or whatever. And he's like, why don't you go and like, instead of wearing like a pretty nightgown or whatever, like go and put like sweatpants on, a t-shirt on, like to go to bed in. And she's just absolutely horrified by looking anything but perfect, even like in her night clothes. And she's terrified. And she's like terrified, like it's an actual like thing for her. And he kind of helps her into that more. And then further on down the line, he helps her like he has this moment where he kind of scares her almost because she doesn't really want to admit that she's kind of falling for him, where he like opens the window and they're like on the second floor, right? But they're Fae, so they can like land on their feet or whatever. And he's like, come on, like let's sneak out and just like feel the earth in on our feet and like let's go whatever. And she's just horrified. She's horrified by his wildness, but I think she needs it. And so he's like, I'm gonna fall out the window if you don't come with me. Like I'll jump. And she's like, oh my god, what are you doing? Like she's terrified. And then he just kind of lets himself fall back out the window, and she like runs to the window, and of course he lands on his feet and he's like, come on, Elaine, like I'll catch you or whatever.
They're so cute.
And she's just so ruffled. And oh my god. And I think we even put in that quote, like, you vex me. Like that cute little quote.
I love that. I
think we actually put that in. She's like, you me. Let's
I
hide.
love it.
And anyway, she actually ends up like kind of, well, literally making a leap of faith, and he does catch her. And
Oh.
she describes to him how when she was little, which is in my main fic, how when she was little, she used to love climbing trees and being more like outdoorsy. And they had this big oak tree near their house, and how she used to just climb up it to like read her school books and everything. And he's like, well, like, when's the last time you climbed a tree? Let's go climb a tree or whatever. And she's like, I can't, like, I'll rip my dress and all this stuff. Or but he had convinced her to like put on leggings, and she's like, I don't feel normal. Like, she felt so out of place or whatever. He's like, well, you can't climb a tree in a dress. And he's like, I'll race you or whatever. And she's like, you're gonna win, obviously. He's like, yeah, but it'll still be fun. And there's just, yeah, there's just a really cute moment, and they kind of like try to race up the tree, and she almost falls, but he catches her. And then there's a scene where she actually gets really mad at him because, as smart as Lucian is, he was having a lot of fun, and he kind of forgot what her main trauma was, so he kind of throws her in a pond.
Oh.
He's like, let's just go swim or whatever. She doesn't want to do it, and he like throws her in the pond, and then she's like seething mad and just shaking, and obviously he can tell how terrified she is because that was the cauldron thing, and he's like, fuck, I really fucked up.
Yeah.
And like he has to make it up to her and everything. But I just really, really liked delving into, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Elaine, like I said, Elaine's boring, she doesn't do anything, like, get over it. Like, Nesta, if Nesta can get over it, Feyre can get over it, you can get over it, like, you don't bring anything to the table. But I think that's where her insecurities are. Like, the fact that she thinks she's literally nothing if she's
Mhm.
not pretty, you
Mhm.
know?
I like it. I like it. I now was that real quick because I gotta go take care of the kids, unfortunately. Was that in A Court of Love and Healing, or is that the side fic?
So it's the side fic that I'm doing now. So there's going to be 2 chapters. So there's the Lucian and Tamlin one
Yeah.
for Lucian week that I'm going to finish. It's going
Okay.
to be 1 chapter, and then the second and third maybe are going to be the Lucian and Elaine storyline. And so that's going to be a fic, but the flashback to Elaine's childhood is in A Court of Love and Healing.
I love it.
And
Well,
that chapter is called Through Elaine's Eyes, and it's about
Oh.
her and Nesta and Feyre when they were kids, and how
So
she
excited.
like saw Nesta getting caned by the grandmother and all this awful stuff, and how she'd just like escape like up the tree to read a book or whatever.
Oh,
And
it's so good. Well, I look forward to reading it more later on this week now
Yeah.
that I have some more time. And I'm super excited, and Mel and I currently are working on our big Cassian debate. I know we said it was going to be filmed today, but we're going to have to push it another week because we want to put in text and pages for anyone to follow along. So
Yeah.
we are going to be preparing that, and hopefully our next one is going to be all about Cassian.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, thanks for filming with me, Mel. I'll talk
Of
to you soon.
course.